The Harry Kane saga continues as allegedly now PSG enter the race to sign the England striker. Elsewhere, the Jordan Henderson situation continues as allegedly it's becoming more and more likely that he may choose Saudi Arabia according to certain reports. Dusan Vlahovic may be going to Tottenham of all places. Alexander Mitrovic is the latest in a long line of players to be linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Andre Onana deal today may be at least have a bid accepted. Manchester United are seemingly going to come in for a bid today. That is according to some reports. And Romelu Lukaku, Inter have increased their bid for the Belgian striker. Could a deal be on the horizon there? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, it's an all new news video, live stream, whatever the hell this is that's going on today. For you, you know the drill by now. We take some of the biggest and best headlines from the world of football and we put them under the microscope a little bit. We try to make sense of the madness. Of course, as I always say on these videos and all these live streams, do hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the comments section. Can't stress that enough. I'd love to hear from you all, whether it's on the stories I'm talking about or whether it's any stories that you guys want to talk about or anything else of that nature. I would love to hear from you all and would love to hear your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it on any of the subjects I'm talking about or anything else that you guys want to talk about or throw questions at me. Anything of that nature will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. And it will be also greatly appreciated on anything that you do on this video. So do hit like, do subscribe, do get involved in the chat. I would love to hear from you all. But without further ado, let's get on with the live stream. We're going to start things off with Harry Kane. We talked a lot about Harry Kane, and obviously everybody knows the situation. Everyone knows the story. Yesterday, he was back in training, and what I really loved was how it was a bit quiet yesterday on the Sky Sports front, at least. So that Sky Sports put a big tweet out, and they put a video with it that was like Harry Kane returns to Tottenham training. Now, of course, I get it in certain ways because, you know, it's a big story. It's a developing story. It's a story that could explode at any moment if Harry Kane, of course, does certain things that may drive a move out of Tottenham into the fast lane. But at the same time, he doesn't seem to be doing that right now. When he turned up for training yesterday, there was allegedly talks with the new manager and Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham, of course. Allegedly, they didn't go very well. I heard a few rumors that maybe they didn't go very well, but, you know, we will wait and see on that one, whether that actually does happen or not. There was nothing to suggest it did or it didn't, but there were a few rumors saying yesterday that it didn't go as according to plan. And so, yeah, Sky Sports basically ran with the thing of man turns up for work. Great. Well done, Sky Sports. Proud of you on that one. Yes. So basically, the club that he was contracted to, he obeyed the contract by turning up for work on time. Well done. Well done. Well done, Harry Kane. But no, if you were around yesterday, you would have probably heard the rumors and heard the many, many reports flying around that allegedly PSG have seemingly entered the race for Harry Kane. Now, later on that same day, Fabrizio Romano came out and stated that this isn't the case, or at least there's nothing concrete in this in this story that PSG have done anything other than show interest in Harry Kane. And, you know, I get it, like PSG keeping their options open right now, and especially with obviously the Kylian Mbappe stuff flying around, it only makes sense that, you know, it only makes sense that they're going to be keeping their cards close to their chest in this, and they're going to try and see a good option to have. Daniel Levy's loving it because the possibility of a bidding war playing out between Bayern Munich and PSG, potentially, we already know that Bayern are heavily involved and heavily interested. Could this drive Bayern to maybe try and wrap this deal up pretty quickly? Could it force Bayern into putting down more money straight away for him? Only time will tell. We already saw what happened earlier on in the transfer window when obviously City came in for Declan Rice. It forced Arsenal to book up their ideas in terms of their negotiating with the England midfielder and, of course, with West Ham. And then, of course, they went and put the money down on the table, an offer and a structure of the deal that West Ham couldn't refuse. Maybe there was something a little similar here, but it does make sense. PSG are wanting a striker. PSG are wanting a big name because it's PSG. And Harry Kane fits the bill on both accounts. Harry Kane, quality, clinical, phenomenal striker, going to PSG would reinforce their squad, 100% reinforce their squad, and would make them a bit more of a danger in Europe. And we know that PSG are going for a bit of a transition in terms of how they approach their business, how they approach their transfer strategies and things like that, because they've appointed Luis Enrique, and they've gone on to assign a couple of new players in Marco Asensio and Manuel Ugarte. Them types of players are not your typical PSG players. They're not exactly players that are first names right off the bat that you would associate with maybe signing players. So maybe they are going through a bit of a transition in terms of how they approach their transfers and everything else to do with the club's business on that side of things. Hey, Balam, how you doing, bro? Nice to see you, my dude. How many kits you have? I only have a few, to be fair. I only have a few right now. It's a growing collection, let's say. It's a growing collection, but we're in Valencia today. So I've worn it a few times in previous videos. So, yeah, Valencia today. And we'll see about tomorrow. Zhao from Atletico to Paris and Kylian to Liverpool. You know what? Kylian to Liverpool, it could work. It very much could work. But obviously FSG will not have that happen. So I miss Henderson if he goes. He is captain and the Hendo shuffle. Can you demonstrate this? Definitely will not be doing the Henderson shuffle because, again, don't want to embarrass myself. But we will get onto the Henderson stuff a little later on in the video. As far as Kane to PSG goes, like I say, it makes sense on PSG's part. And the only reason why I can think Kane wouldn't want to move to PSG is he doesn't believe in their stance in the Champions League. Let's face it, PSG can blow Bayern out of the water when it comes to financial matters. Whether it's the transfer fee or the wage packet, they can blow them out of the water in terms of wages. There's no doubt in my mind about that. In terms of offering a league title, both teams are in pole position every season to win that title. And especially PSG, slightly more so than Bayern. But let's face it, Bayern still have won the Bundesliga title for the past 10 years in a row. Maybe even a slightly more, past 10, 11 years or something like that. As for the Champions League, I think Bayern lost their fear factor a little bit this past season. But that isn't to say that they can't get it back. And obviously with the right recruitment, anybody can get that fear factor back. PSG can get that fear factor back. They obviously hit the, they obviously reached the final a few years ago during the COVID season. They could get that back. And with Kane at the helm, you would give them a very strong possibility of maybe making that happen. The issue is that I don't think Harry Kane believes in PSG's chances of winning a Champions League title or getting close to winning a Champions League title, which is why I think he would choose maybe Bayern Munich over PSG if that was the case. Again, it's a tap-in trophy, it's a tap-in league title because you're going to PSG. But at the same time, is that too disrespectful? Maybe so, because either way he goes, it's going to be an easy title for him to pick up. But will he mind? Absolutely not, because he'll still be there at the end of his campaign with a few league titles to show for his career, for his legacy. Like I say, I think it's very much open to debate as to where Kane goes. I think he's got a couple of options available to him. I think he'd be dumb to re-sign with Tottenham. I think he'd be dumb to re-sign and to prolong his career at Tottenham. I think he's either got to kick up a fuss this season and get out of there, or he has to stay there one more year and hope that in a year's time, everything is pretty much in a similar sort of state to where it is right now, where the likes of Manchester United or maybe even a Chelsea or Bayern Munich still or PSG still are looking at strikers that, of course, Harry Kane would certainly have the luxury of having the plenty of options of overseeing. So remains to be seen on that one, but it could make for interesting stuff. Paris are more given to win their league, absolutely, but at the same time, I think whichever side Harry Kane goes to, they're pretty much wrapped up the title. I think if Kane did go to Bayern Munich, that only solidifies their chances of winning even more. So it may go from like an 80% chance to like a 95% chance or something. I think that he's just perfect for that kind of fit. Liverpool Twitter fans can have their say on Henderson leaving. It isn't ideal for Liverpool to sell him from their homegrown quota. Henderson was a good captain for Liverpool. Never forget when Arsenal fans and Saliba call him a racist. Why would it be? He been doing kick it out campaigns in Premier League and everything. He's done a lot of good stuff off the pitch as well as on the pitch. I just think either it was something misheard or it was something. It was either something that was just misheard or it was just Saliba overreacting, crying. So, I expect Hendo, if it goes, to go for a few years and eventually retire at Sunderland. From my understanding, Sunderland fans are Black Hats will welcome him back to retire for a year or two. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that maybe that could happen. If only Liverpool used the homegrown on third goalkeeper place. Yeah. I like I say, I said it when Adrian signed. He took up a space there. He definitely took up a space there that could have been more useful. But we'll get into the Henderson stuff a little later. I just want to wrap this Harry Kane stuff up. Like I say, for Harry Kane, there's a lot of options. And like I say, if the meeting between him and Postecoglou yesterday didn't exactly go to plan, then it's understandable as to why he would now kick up a fuss to leave. If obviously there was the whole thing where it actually did go well, but he still wants to leave, he's already open to buy, and allegedly he's agreed personal terms with Bayern. There's a lot there to unpackage with this Harry Kane stuff. For me, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. It would do good for all parties to part ways. For Tottenham, it'll be good for him. It'll be good for them to part ways because then they can reinvest that money that they're going to get in other areas of the pitch. They can also put this saga to bed and they can go and watch Harry Kane create a legacy within the game by winning trophies. For Tottenham, that ultimately will be a big sacrifice, but it will be something that in the long run could benefit the club as well as benefit one of their best players. He's still going to be a Tottenham legend at the end of the day. The only way that he doesn't become a Tottenham legend is if he goes to like an Arsenal or a Chelsea or something, which obviously doesn't seem to be realistic right now. For Harry Kane, he goes on, he creates a legacy within the game. He goes out and wins trophies. Okay, there may be pretty easy trophies for him to win in terms of if he goes to PSG, he's going to win the French League title and the French Cups. But if he goes to Germany, he'll probably win the Bundesliga and the German Cups as well. But he'll have a good chance, I believe, of helping that team in the Champions League. And he could still end his career with a Champions League winners medal to his name. So that there could be a very big possibility there. Either way, it'd be good for them, it'll be good for him, and it will also be good for the team he goes to, who will then get a prolific and clinical striker. It makes sense on all three parts. If PSG are genuinely in the race for him, then it makes sense. This whole Kylian Mbappe stuff I said would have a big domino effect added onto it. It would have a big ripple effect added onto it. And Kane could be that domino. if Mbappe does go to Real Madrid, the knock-on effect is that PSG go and sign Harry Kane, and then Harry Kane goes to PSG, and then Tottenham go after another striker. Maybe Dusan Vlahovic. Reports yesterday were circulating that maybe Tottenham are looking at the Serbian striker as a replacement for Harry Kane. Now, do I think that this will happen? I doubt it, because Tottenham can't even wrap up a deal for a couple of defenders right now when they've got free run at those defenders in Tapsoba and Mickey van der Ven. They're really struggling to tie up those loose ends there. I doubt they're going to be able to tie up a deal for a striker who is very much well wanted across Europe. There are several teams that are after him. But it would make sense. They'd have the money to do it. They would have the free space to promise and give him the starting that starting number, that starting shirt, I guess you'd say. It would make sense in a lot of aspects, but in the same time, Tottenham are awkward when they come to negotiating and getting their deals done. Would it actually work out for them in the end? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they have to turn their attention elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see. Eventually a Saudi team will go for Mohamed Salah. Salah is the Muslim star boy, and if he goes 200 million, Liverpool will need Kylian in now. In a way, it's a surprise they haven't went for Salah. Well, we talked about it earlier in the summer that there were warning shots by certain Saudi Arabian people in power that maybe they could be targeting Salah in the future. Nothing obviously has transpired yet, but obviously next year, with a year left on his contract, Liverpool will again face a similar decision to what they're facing with Thiago right now in terms of, do they cash in on him? Do they let him run down his contract? It's going to be interesting to see how that comes around. So we'll wait and see on the whole Salah thing. But yeah, I mean, would Mbappe be a good fit for Salah? Does he play? I don't know. I don't know if he'll be a perfect fit for Salah. He's not left-footed, so he doesn't have that kind of inverted kind of inside forward style of play that Salah has. I don't know. I don't know if he'll be the perfect fit for that kind of position, to be honest. And Jordan Henderson will be the first English player in Saudi, correct? Everton Gray hasn't gone Saudi Arabia, no. Did Callum Hudson-Odoi go? Has he gone yet? Because I know there was talk about him going, but I'm not sure if he's gone yet. And I'm not 100% sure. Harry Kane is Tottenham all-time goal scorer too. I won't be surprised if he stays at Tottenham. I won't be surprised. I genuinely won't be surprised. And I think that has got a lot to say about Harry Kane rather than anyone else. I'll say, like, it's admirable if he wants to stay at Tottenham and when he wants to see out his career at his boyhood club. It's admirable in certain ways, but it's also, in my opinion, pretty stupid and shows a lack of ambition, in my opinion. You can dress it up as much as you want and you can say, oh, but he really believes in Tottenham. He really believes that he can be a guy that brings trophy or trophies to Tottenham throughout the rest of his career. And okay, cool. Everyone has dreams and all that stuff, but at the same time, be realistic. Like, Tottenham are miles away from a proper trophy. And if you look at it and you compare, would you rather be sat there at the end of your career with a Bundesliga or French league title rather than maybe at best, seemingly right now, a League Cup? I know I'd rather have the league title, to be honest with you. So I get it. It's admirable and everything, but I just don't know if his level of ambition is there. I don't know if his level of ambition is matched at all. Nadez Zahabi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, my dude. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope you're good, bro. Welcome along to the stream. Welcome along to the channel. First time I think I've seen you, my friend. So thank you for coming along. Where we at? Like I say, I think he'll stay at Spurs in the end. I do think he'll stay at Spurs in the end. At least for another year. At least for another year. Kylian, Kane, and Neymar is something. Plus Zhao, they have a good front four. Yeah, it's definitely replenished, isn't it, from the Messi, Mbappe, Neymar sort of era, I guess you'd say. Barcelona will pull a lever and sign Thiago, and they want I heard pay up then vice. I'm not sure about that one with them obviously signing Gundogan and obviously wanting to produce Pedri or continue to elevate and grow Pedri and Gavi. So I'm not sure if he'll go to Barcelona, but it could be a possibility to return there maybe in the future. Could you imagine if Fabinho is the only centre mid along with Curtis Jones who stays this summer? It's looking like a possibility, isn't it? It's looking like a possibility. Something that I'm not massive fan of, to be honest. Yeah, that's actually kind of thrown it out the window now. If Levy signs, do you expect 32, 33-year-old Matip to go? Levi Colwell. I expect Joe Gomez to stay because he's English and originally from Southeast London. Well, if we're playing three at the back, I would fully expect everybody to stay. I think Matip probably could go. I think Matip could definitely go, but it's whether or not we can find a suitor for him. I'm not 100% sure we will. Then again, stranger things have happened. So we'll see on that one. Nader Zahabi says that, yes, I expect Joe Gomez to stay in Liverpool. Yeah, like I've said it all along. I think it's time to move him on, but at the same time, I still think I think Gomez with the homegrown quota, especially if we are to get rid of Henderson now, that's another homegrown spot that needs to be filled. He'll go. So yeah, I get it. I think Matip will be moved on at his age. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time to move on both Matip and Gomez, to be honest. But here we are. Breaking news from David Ornstein. Breaking news from David Ornstein. We just talked about Fabinho. Breaking news from David Ornstein. Al Ittihad set to make concrete bid to sign Fabinho for Liverpool for £40 million. Expected to develop fast one way or another. Key issue for Liverpool is letting number 6 go without replacement, but working on this, Romeo Lavia among multiple options. So we were just talking about Fabinho there possibly staying. According to David Ornstein, the breaking news as I'm live is that a £40 million bid is set to be concrete. Could he be the latest player to be linked with a move to Saudi Arabia and actually go? Okay, so 40 million, 10 million less than what we signed him for. A player that we've probably got the best out of. Could it be worthwhile, or could we actually milk this for a bit more? You reckon we could get maybe a bit more for him? Maybe we could probably milk it for a little bit more. You reckon maybe, just maybe, we may be able to get a bit more money out of this deal? You reckon maybe it could happen? Perhaps? I don't know. I feel like this is something that we should definitely consider. Like, I said all along that I think we would keep it, but we're looking at replacing now our entire midfield, barring like Harvey Elliott and, like you say, Curtis Jones, and maybe or maybe not Thiago. That could be all of our midfield completely replaced. That's big breaking news there from David Ornstein. I don't know if I'm not so sure. I think that maybe it's something that we need to explore. I think that's something that needs to be considered. 40 million for Fabinho, to say that we bought him for 50 million, we've kept him for several years, we've probably got the best out of him, we've probably taken his legs out of him. I don't know. Sepp van der Berg and Nat Phillips could leave. Sepp has been linked with a team Liverpool get along with. Klopp's older team of minds. Fabinho wife will say no. From my understanding, Fabinho's wife pushed him his Liverpool team. So I expect Fabinho to stay unless they pay more and more money for him. He played his part in winning Premier League, so a legend for that. I don't think Liverpool can afford to sell a whole central midfield. I don't. And that's where I come on to this whole Jordan Henderson situation, because I talked yesterday about it. I said basically everything that I wanted to say in a video. I thought it was a bit weird of Henderson because, you know, he's done so much for the LGBTQ plus community and all that stuff, all that good work off the pitch, that him going to a place where it's not quite tolerated is something that's a bit mad to me. Now, of course, he'll be linking up with Steven Gerrard again. And of course, he'll be earning a lot of money, as what David Ornstein wrote yesterday, which is Jordan Henderson leaning towards accepting life-changing Al Ettifaq offer. 33-year-old set to decide imminently, would quadruple Liverpool's wages. Gerrard driving pursuit. If Henderson approves, clubs will immediately hold talks on deal. So there's a lot there. There is a lot there to unpackage just from those two tweets by David Ornstein alone in terms of Liverpool's midfield. And the whole thing with Henderson, like I say, is I made the whole video on him yesterday, and I basically said that the reason why Henderson, I think, would want to leave is because he still feels like he's got a lot in the tank. Maybe he's also looking at retirement, and maybe that's why the financial and money aspect comes into play. And not only that, but if he feels like he's still got enough left in the tank that he wants to play, he's going to want to play more games than just be a bit part player, which is ultimately, I think, what he would become at Liverpool going forward. I think he would become a player that drops in here, he drops in there, he plays for a few minutes here, plays for a few minutes there, he's brought in for certain games, and that's it. He moves to the James Milner role. So there's a lot there. I haven't seen it. Is it made up? Is it made before or after the rumor saying it wasn't a rumor? Which room are you talking about, bro? Which room are you talking about? Some say Liverpool Young will have talks with Captain Henderson today about this. Do you think if he moves, his England chances are gone? He will want one last tournament in Germany's Euro and all. It's possible. It's certainly possible that it could, but I don't think it necessarily will. That part was about your Henderson video. Like I say, there was a lot of conflicting reports about Henderson moving to Saudi Arabia beforehand, and then David Ornstein came out yesterday and basically confirmed it. He basically confirmed that he was leaning more towards going to Saudi Arabia, linking up with Steven Gerrard, and ultimately becoming the latest in a long line of players to go to Saudi Arabia. I think it is an interesting move. I just don't see it being smart on Liverpool's part to get rid of him so easy, because you've already lost James Milner. You've already lost Bobby Firmino, two influential and big leaders in that dressing room. And then you go and lose Henderson as well. And you're losing a lot of experience, a lot of age, and a lot of leadership in those players alone. These young players that are coming through are going to need that guidance, going to need that leadership going forward, going to want to learn from the experienced players of the team. It's a commodity, and it's an attribute that I think is very much underrated and very much overlooked. in today's game. And I think that it could damage Liverpool in certain ways. I know that Henderson gets a lot of criticism, some of it fair, some of it unfair, but it's still a player that's been there for about 12 years now. It's still a player that has got a lot of age and a lot of experience and can help out a lot of these younger players that are either coming through from the academy and, you know, your likes of your Stefan Bajcetic's, and obviously you're still young players like your Harvey Elliott's and even your Curtis Joneses to an extent. And of course, you've still got the players that are coming in. Your 24-year-old Alexis McAllister, 22-year-old Dominic Szoboszlai. Those are the types of players that are going to be looking to the older players of that team and looking to try and get some experience out of. And especially in that midfield area, which is so difficult to play at a young age, they're going to want that leadership, that guidance. Losing Milner, losing Henderson, you know, you add Fabinho in there and you add Thiago, that's your entire midfield gone. Your highest experienced midfielder then is a Curtis Jones at, I believe, 22, 21 years of age. That's mad to me. That's mad to me. And I think that it could come back to bite Liverpool, this. If they're not careful, it could come back to bite. Unless they have a plan, but their plan seems to be Lavia, who's the 19-year-old kid. So unless they've got a plan to maybe bring in someone with a lot of experience under their belts and maybe a bit more of a wiser, older sort of figure, Romano just tweeted about Henderson. Jordan Henderson update. Understand Liverpool have asked for £10 million fee to Al Ettifaq with main part up front. Negotiations continue, waiting for player final decision. Al Ettifaq plan was to get Henderson on a free transfer, but Liverpool insist on a £10 million fee. Well, there was no way we were going to give up Henderson for free, but 10 million. How is it we can't sell players anymore? How is it like everybody, like this was Chelsea, they'd be demanding like 40 million for him. How is it we're only demanding like 10 million? I don't get this. It's weird to me. But yeah, that's according to Romano right now. So things are moving fast. And as you can tell, a couple of big breaking news bits and pieces of these stories going forward. But like I say, for Henderson, for Fabinho, I don't know. I think it's too risky to completely get rid of our entire midfield, and especially for that kind of money as well. Maybe we could squeeze a bit more, particularly on the Henderson deal. Maybe not so much the Fabinho deal. Maybe we're pushing our luck with that one a little bit. But definitely for the Henderson deal, £10 million. Like, come on, uplift it a little. Come on. I think Henderson, being a Gareth favourite, he will play in the Euro 2024. He is vice captain for England, and especially with the experience factor as well, like I keep saying. I think he's got one more international tournament in him, and then he's gone. Henderson being 33, I would have liked him to stay for one more year. Same. I think with obviously the way that Liverpool's midfield is changing, I think we need some sort of constant figure in there, and I think Henderson would have been perfect for that. But obviously not to be the case. Rest in peace to those Henderson 14 shirts from Liverpool fans, absolutely. But at the same time, shouldn't abuse, shouldn't do anything of that nature. It's just thank him for his time, for his service at Liverpool. 12 years, a Liverpool player. There you go. Liverpool fans on Twitter had their say on Henderson. We all saw him go from a boy to a man. Some Liverpool accounts with football profile had their say. A shame to see Henderson go in general. It's going to be if that is to be the case. And like I say, I'm not particularly fond of it. I'm not particularly happy about it. And I think Liverpool have actually missed a trick here by not keeping him on for another year. Obviously, if Henderson wants to go, I can understand it, because he may not be entirely satisfied with being a part-time bit player. But at the same time, like I say, you're losing a lot of experience and a lot of age in those players alone. Losing Milner, now losing Henderson. And obviously Henderson also represents a homegrown quota as well. I just, I don't know. I find it a little weird, in all honesty. Where was I? Fab will stay. Henderson will go. Thiago will surely go for some cash and good money. I think Thiago has to stay now. I think if this Fabinho situation is going to escalate, as David Ornstein predicts here, and at a very, very fast rate, I, for one, am going to say that Thiago has to stay now. He has to stay. Simple as that. He has to stay now. Thiago has to stay. I think we give Steven Gerrard a Amazon Prime Day discount. It's good. It's good. It's good. Apparently, Sofa is going to be for 10 million. I don't know. I don't know. This is all weird and it's all a bit fast. Like I think Thiago has to stay now. Fabinho going, but it's like he says though. The issue is that Fabinho plays in a role we don't have a lot of depth to. That number 6 role, we don't have a lot of depth to it. And for me, Lavia, as good as what he could be in the future, is not the perfect number 6. He's not a destroyer like what Fabinho is. He's more technical. He's more fancy rather than combative. We could definitely bring in another number 6. There's no doubt about it. We could definitely move Fabinho on. We could move Henderson on. We could put that money towards maybe getting a more defensive type of midfielder. Maybe, just maybe, the Catherine Sharam deal reignites itself. Maybe there is another defensive midfielder out there that Liverpool are maybe eyeing up as a replacement. Maybe they go back in for Tchouaméni. Maybe, and this is just me wishful thinking this one, but maybe Moises Caicedo. No, I highly doubt that one. But yeah, it's a bit crazy. I mean, if Saudi had come in for Joel Matip, I would have bit your hand off. But they're coming in for Henderson and Fabinho, 2 players that I think. Fabinho, we don't have a lot of in his position. So for me, he would have personally been ideal to stay. And Henderson, with his experience and leadership, would have been ideal to stay too. Like, it's weird. If this was Captain Fletch to Premier League elsewhere, it would be 50 million. Captain Hendo to Premier League elsewhere. I don't know. I find it weird that we can't do business like what other teams do anymore in terms of selling players. We can find bargains and we can do our research on release clauses and that stuff, and that's great. But the fact of the matter is that with 1 year left on his contract, we sold Sadio Mane for 30 million to Bayern Munich. Like when other teams are selling their players that have got 1 year left on their contract for 100 million, for 80 million, for 60 million, for whatever money it is. And then we go and we're telling them, we've got Henderson, we'll sell him for 10 million. We've got we've got Fabinho, we're going to give you for 40 million. I find it a bit crazy that we're not trying to rinse them for more. Like Redman TV put it best here. 10 million for Henderson and 40 million for Fabinho when they're throwing money around like crazy is way short of what we should be getting. Not sure Lavia alone is enough of a replacement back in for Thuram, which is exactly what I said in terms of Thuram. But when you see the money that they are throwing around and then you consider that we're just basically giving them players for what they would consider to be like peanuts, what are we doing, guys? Like, come on, like, push the boat out a little bit. Try and be a bit more. Try and play a bit more hardball. Daniel Levy would be there demanding 200 million for Henderson. Chelsea would be demanding 100 million for Henderson. Like, this is the thing. We need to be a bit more ruthless in this kind of aspect, but we're not. We've not been that way for a long time. Where did I get to? I wouldn't be surprised if Thiago goes this month personally. I don't think he will now if Fabinho and Henderson are to go. I just don't think that will be the case. And I think it would be even more stupid on the part of the club if that was to be the case. Many Liverpool fans are sad to see Henderson go without an Anfield farewell, to be honest. Yeah, it will be sad that obviously he wouldn't get his Anfield farewell, but sometimes, like I said before, this is just how some things work in the modern game and in the game itself. So it's a shame, but at the same time, yeah, that is obviously the big case. Wonder if Saudi Arabia teams want Adrian. I think they are splashing money around at free will, but I don't think they're splashing money around at that much free will. The problem with Henderson leaving is Nat Phillips leaving is homegrown, along with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and James Milner. Yeah, absolutely. The homegrown quota needs to be looked at and needs to be completely assessed, in my opinion, in that aspect. Sadio Mane looks to be leaving too. Yeah, we talked about him yesterday. Mane does seem to be leaving and could be leaving for very little in terms of transfer fee. Does that mean that it's going to free up the money for buy-in to maybe put towards trying to sign Harry Kane? I guess so. Southampton want 50 million for Lavia. Yeah, 50 million for Lavia. And now that we're selling two players for seemingly 50 million in terms of Fabinho for 40 and, of course, Henderson for 10, that kind of opens up that price tag, doesn't it? We might panic sign James Ward-Prowse. Jesus Christ, do not want that. Do Inter have enough money for Lukaku? Seems no. We were going to talk about Lukaku, but obviously then a lot of things hit about Liverpool. So we will get onto that a little later at some point. But at the same time, this is just madness, isn't it? In some ways, I like it. In some ways, I'm not the biggest fan of this in particular. Can you imagine if Bayern swapped Mane for Lukaku? You mentioned Sadio to Chelsea yesterday. I said it could be a possibility. I said that maybe if a team is looking for a winger, I think he would benefit anybody, especially if you're going to consider like a maybe stopgap sort of signing for a year or two. I think Mane could do a very good job. I don't think he would go to Chelsea, but at the same time, if Chelsea were desperate enough that they needed a winger, or Arsenal, for example, I think Arsenal could do with a right winger. We know that Mane can play anywhere across that front three. It could work for him in a year or two. Fulham should keep Mitrovic. He is their star striker. Again, if he wants to leave, though, I don't think there's not a lot that they can do about it. We will talk about Mitrovic next, actually. A good segue into it. Mitrovic, £25.5 million bid was put in by Al Hilal yesterday. That was rejected by Fulham. We shall see, obviously, if anything does materialise from this. But again, Mitrovic seems to be the latest in a long line of players to be linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. Whether this will happen or not remains to be seen. I think it will be, again, it would be a big loss for Fulham, wouldn't it, if this was to happen? It would be a big loss to Fulham if this was to happen. Could they easily find a replacement? Their transfer strategy seems to suggest that they may be better than they were a few years ago, but Mitrovic is going to be a big player to replace and big shoes to fill for whoever actually has to fill in those shoes. So be interesting, but at the same time, big loss for Fulham. Fulham should keep Mitrovic. He's our star player, so that one. Fulham losing Mitrovic is a shame. A little bit, but again, this is kind of what you have to go through in these situations like what we're going through now. Mitrovic is very good in the air, and I think he helps. He helps Fulham a lot in terms of their build-up play. He's good at holding the ball up. He's good at bringing others into play, and he's a good target man to hit as well. And he's also a very good finisher, as proven last season. By the way, he went on a bit of a mad run, particularly in the first 3 quarters of the season. I think he dropped off a little bit towards the end, and especially when he obviously hit that ban he had, that kind of threw him off as well a little bit. But at the same time, yeah, very, very good striker. Very good striker. And I've got to kind of hold my hands up and say that I was a bit wrong on him at the beginning of last season. I kind of called into criticism of him. I said that he'd get his usual 5 goals a season and then drop off. But no, I was very much wrong last season. He got more than 5 goals, of course, and played very well in a Fulham side that I think shocked a lot of people. So I will admit I was wrong on that score. I haven't seen the Dele Alli interview. I won't be seeing this until another day. We wish him well with his career and his mental health. Absolutely. I watched a couple of the clips this morning that Gary Neville put out to obviously promote the episode. And Jesus Christ, it was so, just from those clips alone, it was such a incredibly powerful and such a incredibly emotional sort of interview right from those clips alone, and such heavy subjects that he was talking about, of course, like mental health, like the abuse he suffered and everything. Absolutely incredible and powerful stuff from those two clips alone. So yeah, I'll be seeing it as well at some point. Want to see it in full, but at the same time, yeah, very much incredible stuff that, like I say, was powerful, was impactful, and was very emotional as well right off the bat. So yeah, definitely we'll be seeing that at some point. Do you think Wolves are selling a few players? Goalkeeper Saab being linked with a move away recently. Maybe. We'll see what happens. Wolves have gone a bit quiet and a bit under the radar. Not the only team to go a bit quiet and under the radar this summer, but they have gone a little bit quiet this summer so far. Andre Onana has to be a done deal, I think. Onana to Manchester United, allegedly, that is going to take place at some point in the next 24 to 40 hours or so. We talked obviously about yesterday how it was a crucial 24 to 48 hour stage in the negotiations. Allegedly, United are going to put in a bid today. It's said. Allegedly, there is going to be a bid put in today. Certain sources and reports are claiming that United are looking to once again put in another bid, try and tie this one up. So we'll see what happens on that score. But I'm kind of sick of talking about Onana, to be honest. I'm sick of repeating myself. Didn't Onana get banned for a year or two? He improved his career a lot. Yeah, I think it was some sort of drugs test that he failed. I think he was it a drugs test? I believe it was a drugs test, to be honest. I think it's the right guy. And not just someone who shares a similar name. I think it is the right guy. I do remember what you're talking about. I think it was some sort of drugs test he failed or something like that. Nothing major, not like a major sort of illegal drug or anything along those lines. I think it was just a slight performance enhancing one, or it was some sort of mistaken drug that he took or something like that. I don't remember the full story, but I do remember something being written and hearing about that kind of stuff when he was playing for Ajax, I believe. Because I think when he was playing for Ajax, and he was obviously linked with a lot of moves then away from Ajax, I think it kind of messed up his moves a little bit. I think it messed up his transfers when that story came around. And then he had to wait a long time. And then after like a year, he eventually got his move to I think it was Inter that he moved to. Or maybe he got his move before and then he got banned. I'm not sure which way around it was, but yeah, he definitely had something like that. The one team went to Crystal Palace training ground in South East London a few years before COVID. I saw Mamadou Sakho not far from me. Mamadou Sakho. I only remember him for him scoring that goal against Dortmund that helped us obviously get across the finish line in that second leg. Quality stuff. But yes, we talked about Henderson, we talked about Vlahovic, we talked about Kane, we talked about Onana. Let's talk Romelu Lukaku. Inter have submitted second bid worth 30 million euros to sign Romelu Lukaku. Chelsea and Inter will discuss in the next few hours to make a decision about Lukaku's situation. He wants to continue in Europe. No chance of Saudi move as of now. Now, of course, we talked about Lukaku a lot in this transfer window. We talked about how, Inter want him. There's also been said interest from the likes of Juventus, Saudi Arabia, like you say. and I think maybe a couple of other teams as well from across Europe. Saga did say that win was for the Liverpool country. He meant Liverpool county. Country, county. They're Scouse, not English. Inter need to sell Onana and use money to give to Chelsea. Maybe, but then it depends how much money they've got to spend, isn't it? Really, and they'll obviously need a goalkeeper. So, or did they sign those goalkeepers? I know they've been linked with a few goalkeepers. A lot of teams have been linked with goalkeepers in this transfer window. It's weird. But yeah, I don't know if they managed to sign those goalkeepers or not. I don't remember. But yes, we'll talk about Lukaku a lot. We've constantly gone back and forth over whether or not Saudi Arabia is a possibility for him. He seems to be the latest in a long list of players to be linked again with a move to Saudi, so maybe that could be the case there. Interesting if it is. Obviously, for Lukaku's point of view, it's I don't know. Like after a dreadful Champions League final performance, I'm surprised Inter still want him. Obviously, it's a league he knows well. It's a league that suits him more. But at the same time, you know, like I say, he's not getting any younger. Saudi Arabia could offer a big financial opportunity for him if that is to be the case. It could also help and benefit Chelsea as well in terms of getting a big transfer fee. We'll wait and see how this one goes. I still reckon there is a deal to be made here between Inter and Chelsea that will obviously suit Lukaku slightly more, it seems. He goes back to Italy. See that the rest of his career there. We'll see how this one goes. We will definitely see how this one goes. But yeah, like I say, I've talked about Lukaku a lot. I've talked about him a lot. And I feel that he doesn't obviously have a future at Chelsea. Going back to Inter would probably suit him more to a country, a culture, and a league that obviously suits him more to the ground over there. And yeah, it genuinely makes sense. It's just retweeting what David Olsen put. Would you sell Sepp Vandenberg to Mainz? Does he count as homegrown? Does he count as homegrown, Sepp Vandenberg, right now? I'm not sure when he arrived in England whether or not he does class as homegrown. Don't think so. Let's have a look at the defenders we got. We've got Matip, we've got Gomez, we've got Van Dijk, we've got Konate. Nat Phillips, he's probably gone. I reckon it depends what we do. It depends what we do in terms of who do we bring in that centre-back role, because we need to address our centre-back area. If we don't bring anyone, Vandenberg could definitely be someone to stay on for another year. Selling him might not be the best option, but then again, if we get a good enough price for him, I guess moving him on would be a good possibility and a good opportunity. I think it'd be good for him as well, because then he can actually try and nail down a starting place elsewhere. So it might be good for him personally as well as maybe good for the club at some point. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And yeah, you are 100% right. So much to look on for the next 24 hours. There's the developing situations in regards to Henderson and Fabinho. There's the Andre Onana stuff, which could take off at any moment. There's this Harry Kane saga, which, again, could take off at any moment or could go one way or the other at any moment. It could be put to bed instantly in terms of he will stay, or it could escalate even further that he will put in a transfer request or something of that nature. There's definitely a lot to consider and a lot to look out for in the next 24 to 48 hours or so. And of course, across the remainder of this transfer window, pre-season is back. Pre-season is definitely hotting up, and we will simply see what happens. Pre-season matches to start. It would be good for the club, for the team, but it also kind of indicate what's going to happen with some of these players that have their futures up in the air. Like, like I say, Henderson over the past several days or so has been a conflicting one. Fabinho coming out today, the Fabinho news coming out today from David Ornstein, that a £40 million bid. Like I say, that Fabinho one for me is big because it's really a debate for Liverpool. Liverpool fans have been going back and forth over whether or not to sell Fabinho themselves. I made a video on a tier list about how I went through the entire Liverpool squad, and I basically talked about whether we should keep, sell, or loan these players that we have. And I said Fabinho would be someone that I would consider selling, but at the same time would probably also give another chance to, because although he had a massive drop-off this past season, he is someone that I think could still do a job depending on how he adapts to a new system and how the rest of the team adapt around him in that new system. 40 million for Fabinho, for a player that we've had for several years, for a player that's helped us win everything that there is to win in England and obviously across a European stage as well. For me, 40 million, maybe we could squeeze a bit more out of them. Maybe we could, but for 40 million, it is definitely worth considering. Take care, Ballum. Take care, mate. Thank you for coming along to the stream. Thank you for contributing. Really love that, bro. Hope you have a fine rest of your day on this Thursday morning. But yeah, very much intrigued as to what is going to take place next, especially when it comes to obviously my club of Liverpool, and especially when it comes to the Jordan Henderson and Fabinho stuff. Very intriguing on that front. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. This guy, I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the stories that I talked about? Your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, I'm sure will all make for great and interesting reading in the comment section, in the chat, wherever it may be. Do hit the like and subscribe button on the way out if you haven't already. That will also be greatly appreciated. All of those things, greatly appreciated and thoroughly thanked by myself, of course. Otherwise, like I say, thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and thank you for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon. Oh, sorry, this has been an all new news live stream. All new news live stream, not Fletch Talks video. Yeah, let's do that again. This has been an all new news live stream. Thank you all again so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been an all new news live stream, and I'll see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever the hell it will be. Thank you all so much, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.